Hey guys, this is Josh here with Trillium Wild Edibles, and today I want to show you how to make your very own chocolate mint ice cream. And today I'm going to be using the mint extract that I made about a month or so ago. And I actually made this mint extract from some Virginia mountain mint that I had actually foraged myself. And if you guys want to learn how to identify that plant, I'll put a link in the description down below. And if you want to learn how to make this mint extract, I'll also put a link to that in the description down below if you guys are interested. Now, one of the very first things you're going to need to do before you even get started on making the ice cream itself is go ahead and make your chocolate. And there are a couple of ways that you can do this. One of the easiest is to just buy the unsweetened chocolate pre-made at the store and then melt it and add your own mint extract until it tastes just the way you like it. But instead, what I'm going to be doing, because I like to make my own chocolate myself, here you can see I have about a quarter cup of raw organic cacao butter, and I just finely cut this up to make it melt a little faster. I've got some regular cocoa here. I've got vanilla to add the kind of chocolatiness. Every time you're making chocolate from scratch, you want to make sure you add vanilla. And of course, I've got the mint extract. If you are working with cacao butter like I am, it's important that you melt it slowly, and one of the easiest ways to do that and the safest ways to do that is to use a double boiler. Here you can see I've got a double boiler set up with a Pyrex glass bowl, a regular pan, and just some water. Now this should already be nice and warm, so all we're going to do is we're just going to take our cacao butter, we're going to set it in there, and it's going to start melting rather quickly. For this I'm going to be using dark chocolate because I really like dark chocolate, but if you want milk chocolate instead, just go ahead and get yourself some milk powder and add it to this once it's already melted, and that'll make it easier. If you want to sweeten it up a little bit, make sure you use powdered sugar. You can get away with using cane sugar, I guess. I've never been able to and get it to work. You may be different though, so it just depends. But I'm just going to let this melt up a few minutes and then I'll get back to you guys when that's ready. Alright, you can see we've got the cacao butter already nice and melted. So the next step that we want to do is we just want to go ahead and we want to take a teaspoon at a time and add in some cocoa powder. I like to stir it after about 2 teaspoons. This helps me to ensure that I have enough, because I like it to be rich in chocolate taste. And you'll know by the look because it won't look as oily, because cacao butter is basically just a fat. It's just kind of like a grease, so it looks really oily. So by the time you mix this up, if you see like an oily substance still on top, you need to add just a little bit more cocoa powder until you don't see any more of that. I've got that fully mixed up. Now I'm going to let it sit for just a minute and I'm going to see if I get any oily substance on top. Okay, that looks really good for my liking. Now usually the chocolate that you eat off of the shelf goes through a process known as tempering, and what that does is it keeps the chocolate from melting as fast when it enters your hand. And the reason for that is because real chocolate that's made with cacao butter like this one is, melts super fast if it hasn't been tempered. As soon as you start touching it, it just turns into liquid. So it's really hard to eat at all. Now, this doesn't matter so much for this because we're going to be using it in ice cream. It's going to get frozen anyways, so we don't have to worry about that. And once your chocolate's been off of the heat for a little bit, you want to go ahead and add your vanilla flavoring. Next thing we want to do is add our mint extract. Alright, I've got this chocolate smelling as minty as I want it, and I had used 3/4 of a dropper full out of a 2-ounce tincture bottle. Now, if you guys are using actual teaspoon measurements, I have no idea what that would equate to. However, that's not a big deal. Just go ahead and add your mint extract or your mint flavoring a little bit at a time until you get it to smell the way you want it to. Alright, once your chocolate is done, the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and get yourself some wax paper and set it on a plate. And I find that a little bit of water added to the plate helps to keep the wax paper stuck there just a little bit better. And then we just want to pour our chocolate right on top of there, just like that. Alright, and once we've done that, the next thing that we want to do is we just want to let our chocolate sit here for just a few minutes, kind of let it stiffen up just a bit before we go ahead and move it so that way we don't slosh it all over the place. Then you just want to set it in the fridge and or the freezer, whichever you feel like doing. That's going to solidify it up a lot faster and make it hard. And once you've done that, then you can go ahead and start making your ice cream. Alright, once your chocolate's nice and firm, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and start on your ice cream. Today I'm actually going to be making a traditional American style ice cream, so I'm not going to be using any eggs in this recipe. Alright, the next thing we want to do is we just want to go ahead and pour 1 cup of milk in a saucepan. Make sure you get the burner onto medium so that way you don't scald your milk. And to that 1 cup of milk, we're just going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. And now at this point, all you want to do is you just want to go ahead and heat up your milk nice and slow and keep a good consistent kind of even stir. And you just want to go ahead and stir until all of your sugar is fully dissolved. So I'm just going to stir this up and wait till the sugar is fully dissolved, and then I'll get back to you guys when we're at the next step. Okay, and once your sugar has been fully dissolved, the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and add 2 cups of cream. There's 1 1/4 cups for me. Then at this point what I like to do is I like to add about another 1/8 of a cup of sugar. And then same thing as before, we just want to stir this up until all that sugar is fully dissolved. And this won't take long, maybe just a minute or 2. We don't want to boil or simmer this. However, there are some recipes that you may find online that say that, and you totally can. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm just not doing it for this recipe. Alright, and then once your sugar has been fully dissolved, you go ahead and turn off your burner. And the next thing you want to do is you just want to let this sit for at least an hour and let it cool down before you go ahead and try to freeze it. Now, seeing as how I have a cat and I need to let this sit for at least an hour to cool down, I'm going to put some aluminum foil over top of this. Now, you could put a lid over top of that as well, it just depends on what you have available and what works for you. Okay, so I've got this covered with aluminum foil to keep any pet hair or dust or any flying things out of it. So we're just going to let this sit for an hour and then I'll get back to you guys. Alright, now that it's been an hour and our ice cream base has cooled off enough, the next thing we want to do is we want to add vanilla. I'm not making a vanilla ice cream, obviously, but I find that a little bit of vanilla helps to actually pick up the flavor. Now we're going to add our mint extract. We want to add a good amount of this because we want our ice cream to be minty. Whenever you're adding your mint extract, go ahead and be kind of slow. Add a little bit at a time, stir it up, and then take a smell. The reason for that is because everybody likes a different amount of mint in their ice cream. So I'm not going to give an exact amount of what I used just because that, like I said, everybody likes a different amount. Alright, here you can see I have a bowl that's pre-chilled. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my ice cream base inside of this bowl and then put that in the freezer. It really is just that simple. Now once this goes ahead and starts to cool up a little bit, then I will take it back out and then I'll add the chocolate. Alright, at this point now I've got it covered with foil. Now all I'm going to do is just put it in the freezer and let it sit in there for a while until it gets nice and cold. Then at that point I'm going to take it back out and add the chocolate. So I'll show you guys that when we get to that point. Alright, our ice cream base has been in the freezer for a couple hours now. Now the next thing we want to do is we just want to take our mint chocolate and we just want to break it up inside of the bag. That way we don't get chocolate all over our hands. And make sure to not work it too long, and if it at any time it starts to melt on you too much, just go ahead and put it back in the freezer or the fridge and let it sit for a minute or 2. And at this point you can see what the ice cream looks like. It's not really frozen yet, but it is starting to thicken and starting to get very, very cold. So this is a perfect time to add in the chocolate because it won't melt the chocolate. And if you want the chocolate melted, that's fine. That's all personal preference. And once you have all your chocolate broken up inside of the bag, go ahead and just dump it inside of your ice cream. And then give it a good stir. Any chocolate pieces remaining on your spoon. Give it a good rinse. And then just simply cover it back up with foil, put it back in the freezer, and then stir it or churn it if you're using an ice cream maker. I don't have an ice cream maker. So what I like to do is I like to just stir it every 30 minutes to every 45 minutes. Sometimes I'll go an hour or more. It just kind of depends. It doesn't really make much of a difference though. However, the longer you wait, the more ice crystals will form. So we're going to get this back into the freezer and then I'll get back to you guys when it's done. Alright, you can see our ice cream is now finally done. It's been over 12 hours. This is completely frozen. Here you can see what it looks like. It looks delicious. It is extremely delicious. I've already tasted a little bit, as you can see there. Alright, let's dig in. Here you can see these big chunks of chocolate in here. Mint chocolate. Just a slight hint of mint. the ice cream itself. Like I said earlier, if you want to make it more minty, just add more mint extract. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. If you want to learn more about edible or medicinal plants, make sure to subscribe.